Now, what I can show you is how these behaviours are done. And I was actually going to go through and do an entire new economy set, that of farming wood, growing wood, creating building supplies, and then taking them to a building site. So I'll just go through that pretty quickly then. First of all, I'll show you how to create a new building, and so I'll create a new forest with you and generate some wood and sell the wood. Now, I've already prepared some graphics for this, so if I can find them. So yeah, I've already prepared a forest icon, which is as we can see here, that'll just be for the button, and obviously a building needs a texture. So as we can see over here, we've got the texture, the forest texture. Right, so once we've got the textures and we've got the behaviours already exist, because we've already used these ones elsewhere, let's get down to defining it. Now, rather than defining everything in code, I've decided to use dependency injection and Spring to do this for me. So if we go into my config file, which at the moment is just the default .NET config file, you can see I'm defining objects here. These are proper .NET objects, and I'm setting their properties and their values. So what I'll show you, I'll just shrink a few of these, not everything, and we can see what we've already got. Three buildings already exist. What I'll do is I'll create another building. So I think about it. A forest is like a farm, so I will have one farm and another farm. So I've got two farms now, and I'll change this farm to forest. Now the only difference between a forest and a farm is that a forest doesn't sell groceries, it sells wood, and yes, it's a seller. Its position, let's move this particular building across. We don't actually need that because this is no, I don't think we need that, but I'm not going to delete it now because I don't want to mess with things while I'm trying to think of other things. So now the sprite ID, as I showed you in the sprite sheet here, sprite 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we'll use sprite 6. Now let's see, what behaviours does it do? It behaves with on request arrival. This is a bit of a crap name for it sells stuff. I'll organise that a bit, refactor these things a bit better. And also it generates stuff. So what does it generate? It generates wood. Let's say it generates 20 wood every 0 hours, 30 minutes and 0 seconds. That's pretty much it. And let's not bother giving it any stock yet. There's no point stocking it up with groceries because it's a forest. Okay. So that is fairly simple. The farm just defined. What I'll do, forest, sorry, defined. What I'll do is I will now put in a button so we can drag, so we can create this. Where are buttons? Buttons are part of the simulation screen. Right. So this is a bit messy because I haven't refactored this out yet. It's kind of just test code, but I'll put it in. Call this a forest button. Now what I've done here, I'll copy the farm button again because it'll be pretty much identical. And put it at the bottom, make this a forest button. And bind onto the clicked event of that. Instead of doing that, we're going to okay, I'll just step through these one at a time rather than spinning through. We'll set its position, so I'll just shunt it along a little bit. 128, 186. No, 96 obviously. So this is just shunting the button along. It will sit at the bottom of the screen, it will be the fourth button along. Its position on the screen, it's 64 pixels square. That's just the button textures. icon texture, forest, as we've already done, and the building object name. So as defined in here, it will search for this name when it tries to build the forest. When I click on this, we've got this handle click event, which we can just pop to. What this does is it gets the location of the mouse, and then, as we see here, it gets the build object name, which we've just defined as forest, as you see up here. So that means when we click on this button, it will use Spring to access the forest object, and it'll return a world object, which is what a building is. It'll put it where I put the mouse and add it to the simulation and log. So we don't want that to be that, we want it to be console. Okay, so if we do that, we should be able to place these buildings and it should start generating. Let's give it a go. Okay, good start. Didn't appear because I haven't exactly managed these properly. So I've got to load content, do all that jazz. Obviously these will become organised at the moment. My buttons and drag and drop stuff is a little bit rudimentary at the moment. That should do me. First button. Let's hope we get a forest button now and I haven't done anything embarrassing and stupid. Right, here we go. Not quite in the right spot, but there's a forest button. Now if I drag this forest out there, drop it down, we have added a building at that location and it's generating wood. So that's exactly what we wanted to happen. So there you go, that's building a new building. As you can see, it generates wood. If I wanted to make a mine which mines coal, I could change it to coal and have a different coal graphic. All sorts of things. Fish farm could go in the sea and it could generate fish. Yeah, so that's stage one. We'll mark that as done. We'll move on to the next bit.